I've often said never a dull moment, but I find myself saying that a lot more since we moved onto the farm because it's absolutely true. Regenerative grazing, where we move our cows from paddock to paddock at least once or twice a week, takes a bit of time, especially right now while we really learn how to do this with the acreage we have. What I really love is to see the difference in the grass when we move them from the old to the new. And what's even more amazing is to wait a couple days and begin to see that old paddock regrowing beautiful green grass they'll be able to come back to after a period of rest. We woke up one morning to find our old freezer that belonged to my grandma had gone to its heavenly home. Well, maybe. Dan thinks he may be able to fix it. One can hope. Meanwhile, we had to do something quickly and we're grateful to find a freezer in town. Thankfully, we caught it before everything thawed. Jacob's busy with fall and winter crops in the garden. His hoop house is holding strong even with terrible wind gusts this last week. Right now he's got a gorgeous salad mix, spinach, cabbage, rutabaga, broccoli, and more. He's working at building a local customer base, offering locals the option to order online with delivery right to their doorstep. If there were ever a time to support your local farmer and gain some truly nutritious food, it's now. Chuck has just grown so much. His personality has really evolved, and he is just so much fun. He spends his days riding in the truck, the side-by-side, and anything else that has a motor and moves. If you can't find him, he's probably in one of the ponds. We discovered this week this dog loves to swim. Speaking of swimming, we've really been enjoying this fall weather we've had this year. It's been fairly warm, so it's been more pleasant to be outside working or playing. Cutting wood to stockpile has become a regular, almost daily chore. I love the old saying, many hands make the work light. Even Zeke helps, though he'd rather entertain than pile wood on the truck. He does a pretty good job of it, too. We celebrated Jaden's 14th birthday with a chocolate cake full of candles. His birthday always reminds me it's just about Thanksgiving time. And with that, let's make my grandma's recipe for pumpkin pie. This pie just happens to be my grandma's recipe. When you pull a recipe card out of the box all covered with smudges and stains, that's how you know it's gonna be good. We're gonna start with 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. I'm just gonna kind of clump that up. Then we're going to add in 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/2 tablespoons of unbleached flour, just all-purpose flour, 3/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, and then 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Then you're just going to take a whisk and whisk that up together. Try to get some of those clumps of brown sugar mushed up. The mixer will help with that too in a little bit. Before we put the eggs in, I like to slightly beat them a little bit, just to kind of break the yolks up. Then we'll just add those eggs right into the mixture. Now we added 3 eggs to the mixture, and now we're going to add 2 2/3 cups of pumpkin puree or canned pumpkin. Now I'm just using canned pumpkin, which is essentially pumpkin puree in a can. You can also use real pie pumpkin from the store. You just cut it up, roast it. You peel it after you roast it, and then you would puree it in a blender. If you can't get pumpkin, squash works too. Winter squash, butternut squash, it makes a delicious pie. Then we're going to add with that pumpkin 1 1/2 teaspoons of just regular milk, and then 1/2 cup of evaporated milk. We have that all in the bowl, and now we're going to mix it really well until everything is blended together well. So here we go. take my spatula, give this a good All right, that looks pretty good to me. You need a good pie crust for this pie. Just a single pie crust, uncooked, because it'll cook during the baking process. When we bake the whole thing, it'll bake. I'm using a gluten-free pie crust, and I did happen to use gluten-free flour, so I'm making it entirely gluten-free, this pie. So if you need a good pie crust recipe, I'll leave one in the description below the video so that you can grab that. Then you're just gonna take your pie filling and pour it into your pie shell. This is getting me in the mood for Thanksgiving. It smells so good. Now I'm going to put this in the oven at 425 for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to bump that temp down to 350 and cook it for another 40 minutes. And at that point, I'll probably put the pie shield on. And there we go. It's been 15 minutes, so now I'm gonna bump that temperature down to 350. I'm gonna put the timer on 40 minutes. And in addition, I'm gonna go ahead and put this pie shield on my pie. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna protect the edges from burning while it cooks. All right, I think it's done. I probably let it bake just a little bit too long because it's starting to crack a little bit. But that's okay. It'll still be good. Ooh, that looks delicious. So I'm gonna let it cool probably for a few hours before we slice into it. My family loves pumpkin pie, but my personal favorite is this sweet potato pie. You might want to watch that video next. We'll see you guys next time.